Former President Trump is being questioned today in the civil fraud lawsuit brought by New York Attorney General Letitia James against the Trump Organization. James claims Trump overvalued his property for financial gain and is demanding more than $250 million in damages. Just the latest in an effort by the Never Trump Coalition to stop President Trump's America First agenda at all costs. Let's bring in renowned neurosurgeon and former Trump cabinet member, Dr. Benjamin Carson. Dr. Carson, always fantastic to see you. You know, you are also the author of Created Equal, the painful past, confusing present, and hopeful future of race in America. I hope one day you and I can dedicate some time to talking about that. But there's other questions I wanted to ask you about today. Okay. Sustained attacks on President Trump comes, as we've learned about, the Biden regime coordinating with officials in the FBI on the Mar-a-Lago raid. Now, legal experts that we talked to said that Biden's actions were, in their words, impeachable. Watch.
I think it is something that is potentially impeachable. I also think that it's flat-out election interference. And kudos to the America First legal team for getting this information out by FOIA, that a special access program, you know, using DOJ as the conduit, but the authorizer being the Biden White House, are the ones who decided to stir up these documents. Meanwhile, Karine Jean.
You know, Doctor, this is a big deal, using a political office and taxpayer resources to take out your political opponents. A lot of people believe that there should be severe punishments for that. Why do you think we're not hearing a groundswell from the Republican Party calling for just that?
Well, I'm a little disappointed that the Republican Party is sort of sitting on their hands on this. I mean, not all of them. Some of them are raising the red flag. But we're talking about fundamental values of America, you know, the freedoms that people came here for. And we're just sitting here twiddling our thumbs while they fizzle away. And we can't do this. This is banana republic stuff. And I think we've lost so much respect in the world. No one really cares what we have to say anymore. I just hope, you know, we can last long enough to get some solid leadership.
Well, Dr. Carson, I'd like to take advantage of some of your medical expertise if I can. His Eminence, Dr. Anthony Fauci, has said that China virus vaccines do not stop infections. Watch.
This virus is so highly transmissible that when you're vaccinated, you may not necessarily get protected against infection, but clearly you get protected against severe disease. And that's caused a lot of confusion among people, because when we went from the original wild type or ancestral strain of the virus that was spreading in January and February of 2020, as we evolved into different variants, including Omicron, it became much more transmissible.
And what we also know that the vaccines don't stop transmission. So the Biden administration has ended the pandemic national emergency, but they're still dedicating, Dr. Carson, $5 billion taxpayer dollars to Big Pharma for more vaccines. Let me just ask your medical opinion. Is it wise for the taxpayers to pay for a vaccine that doesn't stop infection and doesn't stop transmission?
Well, so far, the evidence does not point to it being a wise decision. And, you know, viruses naturally, as they morph, become more transmissible, generally speaking. So that's not anything new or different. And, you know, I think this thing has it's played itself out. I think the American people are tired of it. We're not going to be controlled by this kind of hysteria again, where they keep changing their opinions. First of all, it was supposed to stop the spread, stop the infections. Now it's just supposed to mitigate, make things a little bit better. And we're still not talking enough about natural immunity, which seems to be far superior to the vaccines that have been given. And taking advantage of our tremendous medical system, we have doctors who are well trained. Let's let them decide what needs to be done, particularly for vulnerable population. Doesn't that make sense?
Amen. Amen to that. Yeah, Dr. Carson, you actually made news over a year ago when you came in this program and talked about this aspect. The World Health Organization is now finally catching up with you, Dr. Carson, saying that healthy teenagers and children are not at risk for severe illness from the China virus, so they don't need to be vaccinated. Now, you've been saying this, and we've known this almost from the very beginning, yet we still don't have 3, 5, or 10-year studies on how these vaccines impact children's tissues, whether it be their reproductive tissues or what have you. Can you speak to those primarily on the left who looked at these vaccines as some sort of status symbol rather than considering the possible long-term impacts on their children's health?
Well, first of all, better late than never as far as the WHO and the CDC is concerned. at least they're coming to something. But, the fact of the matter is science requires you to do the right kind of analysis. We know that the risk to these children is very, very small from COVID or from complications of COVID, 0.025%. We have no idea what the long-term risks are, no idea whatsoever what these spike proteins do over 5, 10, 15 years. Why would you take someone you love, like your child, and subject them to that? That makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. They're finally coming to realize that. They're trying to cover themselves and, leave themselves little excuses. But, just come on out and say, we were wrong and we apologize and let's go from here.
For the record, you were right first and a lot longer. A lot of other doctors out there were echoing you as well. So I've only got 1 minute left, doctor, and I wanted to talk to you about this abortion pill controversy. An appeals judge for the Fifth Circuit ruled that the drug cannot be sent by mail and people need a physical prescription to get it, but they can get it now as this legal wrangling continues. But I want to focus on the FDA's decision to use these pills to thwart state restrictions on abortions by mail. Was that medically sound for the FDA to do, or was that a political maneuver, sir?
Oh, I think it's totally driven by political forces. And, these are serious things when you're talking about ending a human life. And isn't it a shame that we've gotten to the point where we pit mothers against the baby who's in the safest place in the universe that it can possibly be and treat it like a disease, taking pills to get rid of it because it's inconvenient? What has happened to our sense of morality and value of human life? That's the real question here.
Now, you are a great and a good man. I've been saying it forever. Dr. Benjamin Carson, always appreciate your time here on the Chris Salcedo Show.